Thank you, Nelson. Just a few remarks, and then we'll open it up for questions. You know, when I was in my first year of college, a lot of my classmates walked around with Mao Zedong's little red book. And I had one. Now, I didn't take it that seriously, but apparently some people did. And it wasn't until I read Diana West's book that I found out that, I can't believe it, but James Comey actually said that he was a communist. No, it's not some accusation somebody's thrown out. He's actually said it to a reporter in a New York Post interview. He said, I was a communist. He said, well, I don't know what I am now, but I was a communist. How does a former communist end up as head of the FBI? And that John Brennan actually voted for Gus Hall for president the first time he voted for president, and Gus Hall was being funded by the Soviet Union. How does the head of the CIA be a person who once voted for a communist to be president of the United States? And when somebody like that stands up and calls President Trump a traitor, I think, talk about a case of projection. That's got to be one. Well, folks, I got saved in 1976, and my attitude about this country was revolutionized. Because I came to realize something. America is one of the greatest gifts that God has ever given mankind. Yeah. Because no matter what they say, and of course we know that we're not a perfect country. We never have been, we never will be, because we're not perfect people. But no matter what they say, we have done more to help more people, not only in this nation, but around the world, than any other nation that's ever existed on the face of the earth. We have raised the standard of living. Hear, hear. For more people. And yes, I really do believe that this effort to undermine these foundational principles is very real, because you've got to separate America from certain things in order to fundamentally transform her. And one of the things you've got to separate America from is our history. Pete Buttigieg just recently said that we've got to remove Thomas Jefferson from all monuments. We've got to remove his name. Why would we remove his name? I guess because he was a slave owner. But what the left doesn't tell people is that the whole world was steeped in slavery. America didn't invent it, but America got rid of it. And that man that he wants out of our history is the man who wrote the words, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Yeah. Now, folks, my great-grandparents were slaves in Virginia, Gabriel and Eliza Jackson. But because of those words, and because of what our founding fathers believed and what they set in motion, their great-grandson can stand before you in the freest nation that's ever existed in history and speak my own mind as a free citizen of the United States of America. And you want to get rid of that? And you want to transform our culture? You want to change all the definitions? And folks, this is an amazing thing that we're watching, but we're actually watching the vocabulary be twisted as if it were 1984, where then evil is good, good is evil, light is darkness, darkness is light. And we have to be aware of the fact that just because you call it social justice, just because you use the word socialism, does not really change what you really have in mind. And folks, as a result of listening to Trevor and reading his materials and reading Diana's book and the research I've done, there is no difference between socialism and communism. When Bernie Sanders stands up and declares himself a socialist, we ought to all hear him saying, "I am a communist." Because that's exactly what it boils down to. I mean, Mao Zedong, of course, remember, he was Anita Dunn's, Barack Obama's communications director, he was one of the people she turned to when she needed advice and counsel. This vicious, brutal killer who executed probably or was responsible for the deaths of 65 million Chinese, it may have been more. That's who she turned to. Here's what he said. Socialism must be developed, and the route towards such an end is a democratic revolution which will enable socialist and communist consolidation over a length of time. Now, he was talking about China, of course, but you can apply that very much to the United States of America today. The Communist Party USA, which will have their convention next month in Chicago, here's what they say their stated goal is: to build socialism in the United States based on the revolutionary traditions and struggles. Folks, Marxism is socialism, is communism, and we've got to take the veil off and let people know that we are dealing with a pernicious ideology that is responsible for having killed more people than any other way of thought that's ever existed. We don't need that in the United States of America. We're not having it. And so we need to reclaim our history. We need to reclaim our faith in God, because this is one of the things that's under attack. You know, I tell people all the time that my conservatism comes out of my Christian faith. I believe that every individual is sacred, and that individual liberty is what the government is established to protect. It's not established to protect its own power. It's established to protect our freedom. And it's not established to lord over us. It's established to serve us. And it's not established by elites to control the people. Is established by the people in order for the governmental officials we elect and appoint to serve us. And they've got it completely twisted. And they want us all to become servants of the government, because that's exactly what socialism and communism are. Socialism and communism turn every individual under its control into a slave. That's exactly what happened in Russia. That's exactly what happened in China. That's what happened in Cuba. That's what happened in Vietnam. That's what's happened in Venezuela, except now it's erupted into complete chaos. And I tell you, who better to want and love and commit to freedom than the people in this country whose ancestors were once slaves here? Communism has tried to infiltrate the black community and convince them that collectivism is the way. But I'm here to tell you that there is no way to lift a group. Individuals have to lift themselves. Yeah. And they do that by their own values and their own initiative and their own hard work. And instead of buying into collectivism, which is being sold us, people need to buy into individual initiative and personal responsibility and determination to do what Nelson suggested. Take advantage of what people coming into this country do when they've left a place where they haven't had no freedom. Come into this country and look at it in awe and wonder and say, wow, I can do pretty much anything I want to do here and pretty much be anybody I want to be here. And whether the left will admit it or not, that is true for every black child, every Hispanic child, every Asian child in this nation. They can do whatever they want to do, and we'll just take the blinders off and help them to see the opportunities that lie before them. And those opportunities. I'll say one last quick thing, and this is one of the things I hate about this lurch toward the left. I joined the United States Marine Corps in 1970. Hoorah! 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 Semper Fi, and raised my hand and took an oath to the Constitution of the United States. I love that flag because it represents us, who we are and what we stand for. It's a unifying symbol. I love that national anthem because it represents us and who we are and what we stand for. It's a unifying symbol. And this leftist, Marxist, communist, socialist ideology that is creeping into our country is trying to teach our children to disrespect the flag, to dishonor the national anthem, to dishonor our country. But somebody said it to me when we were walking in. if I have to be the last person in this nation standing up for that flag and that national anthem and our Constitution and the freedom and liberty that we enjoy in this nation, I will do it until I breathe my dying breath. But I will never turn this nation over to a bunch of communists and socialists and Marxists to take it down. And I trust you'll stand with me. And the last thing is this. We are being asked to allow people to lead this country who have no affection for it. I mean, think about this. Think of the last time you heard a Democrat, you heard a leftist speak affectionately about America. When was the last time you heard it? You don't hear it. You know what you hear? You hear, yes, maybe JFK. You know what you hear? You hear from Andrew Cuomo, it was never that great. And you hear the same thing from Pete Buttigieg. And you hear people associate the flag with being a Republican or being conservative. That flag has no party. It has no race. It represents all of us. And they're asking us to choose those people to lead us over an individual who, although like you and me is imperfect, loves this country, loves our people, believes in our Constitution, believes in individual liberty, believes in the free market, believes in our Judeo-Christian values, and is doing everything he can to protect our First and Second Amendment and all of our constitutional rights, and that is Donald Trump. And I'll pick him any day of the week and Christ on Sunday over one of these leftists and Marxists.